Gilg Jew, Gilg J as Gilg Nerach.
Sé Claare na Gael to Gael Toyachnish, sé ma hartne say Shoish Altaka. My name is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert the Carslach, as Shen the Grey.
Have you ever had tell of old Bobby Bob?
And this is a bilingual programme which is called Claare na Gael, in the English language as Sagilg, and in the Manx Gaelic Chine na Mera, the mother tongue of Ellan Vanning, the Isle of Man. As Bannacht and Juris were finishing off this time a short story by P M C Kermode. He was greatly interested in history, going on to be appointed the first director of the Manx Museum when it was set up in the former Nobles Hospital in Kingswood Grove above Crellin's Hill in Douglas in 1922. Counts Mina Harker as Nolla van Helsing Gullered ons carriage as Castle Dracula, to Mina Carda the Throne, as to Aurus eg an Ollum Machional Stedek. Ach, gerde wel eschen corre ber tannach dan doucht, she red ljouwert at gol. Richard Gendel wrote many original songs in Cornish as well as translating material into Cornish. We start with one of his songs, Pryas Awen, Bride of Inspiration, performed by GWENNO SAUNDERS. Tashu geestiach rish radio vanning, stashu na nashun, beskuller skeliamach, by Dulish, Ellen Vanning. GWENNO Saunders singing a song written by a bard of the Cornish Gorsedd, Richard Gendel. P M C Kermode's chief interest in writing his story set against the historical events of the year 1210 was to provide details of the way of life at that period. So in a way we get more than an actual story. However, thus far, Dewin the priest of Cornedale has baptised a sickly baby and Thorkel, its father. He's advised the baby's mother to give it fresh air. He's cared for and taken the confession of a wounded and dying chieftain, and then he's presided over his funeral, so certainly not uneventful. And PMC continues the story. Once, on a sunny day in spring, Dewin, who'd been mending the thatch of his keel, finishing off his frugal dinner of oaten bread and watercress with a morsel of cheese, had rested on the back against the south wall, and fell to musing of the past. He thought of his flock, and who would have been there before them, of the builders of this little cell, and how the first to preach the faith had fared with their forefathers. Tammy Smonion de vel mi heen kiaull sabine, son dol tajimach, tammy genach den girach, tammy genach den kindage, maar de berg riddenach wij jindem. Tammy genach den mihin saisús de girach, leis na strienen ons malau, as na kavel vai driddel rumbo, kat mar badriw. Tammy giennus as tammy fedden na ben sermina fors na kadla. Geen ford einish vai tren en laig reinje, as herrische sneachte te seisje na greinje rai gorish tulje moer bwee, de welschen kiaull ske du moer jouwer wolt en sluw trogel soes goenach. Son tashin gol soes, as ta ulju o gefaies kregach, maar de berge jerre en teel. Eish, tammy duste ben sermina. A cheer short, he duste gin monodoliad, as eish tammy coreber corsavin nori, fo hypnosis. Ach, genelli goil savin, maar na beiden on, maar na mish, na gamlish monach beiden on. Forst tammy geber as geber, der doltajimach, tammy feathenish as mihin, ons dorgus. Now from Killarney, this is Charlie O'Brien, and the song I Gceart Lár de ghra.
Moravian an lahar Mahian the Vragar I Gceart Lár de ghra I Gceart Lár I Gceart Lár de ghra Coran tú me go dain stre Caillte spiante ba gache in lá I Gceart Lár de ghra I Gceart Lár de ghra Bleteten na híhe de Lord is tríhe Anis is cuihe Is cuihe I Gceart Lár de ghra I Gceart Lár de ghra I Gceart Lár de ghra
And from Killarney, that was Charlie O'Brien and the song I Gceart Lár de ghra, right in the centre of your love. Tammy Jane McGeet is fedden maakte wel een green angel schies. Ten wens Mina gerachti, as Tammy Chinde is January. Te len roes nish, as te Jane gemai is na remmi vagen I riw, neer is een nish en ons Carfax, tre hoiach tas in golstjag ons taig hound. Te jindes orm, as Tammy Guinness is. Ach, die geginnel as mij gesmunjachtach as milieu, de wel mi geroet de chuljual. Tammy for the aisle fair tashin a cho lesh bart de foy merin. As die girlige be chaus de mischlige cerne kavel, as korad, kjonnel for fasty, de hadacha. Esh tre tammy chit backes an aisle, tan shiver erluek. Tammy gold de choeneli, ach, die munga as ginstau de velia nie hanna. De rawi choagrasach nog doddy furchten. Chamailja me as de ouders en trauma ach, tammy goil aal rosh aglache, as me saw, tammy gin vogelje. Juan thought of the world in heathen darkness and of the Word made flesh, and of the wondrous spread of his glorious gospel, of Patrick, who brought it to the Irish Celts, with whom the Manx were one people. And then he thought of the long years when they'd been cut off from the church elsewhere, and how strange customs had grown up, and superstition had crept in, and the folk seemed drifting from the one true fold. Then came Malachi, the great reformer, and reconciling Celt and Dane brought them again into communion with the Catholic Church. But Juan must be doing something with his hands, and, as he lay a-thinking, he saw by his side a rough piece of slaty stone about 2 feet long by 1 in width, unshapen and undressed. He fingered it, then took his knife, and while he thought, began to cut the name of Christ. Brought up in Machynlleth, where she was introduced to and fell in love with the Welsh triple harp. That was CERYS HAFANA. Machynlleth has claims to be the ancient capital of Wales, in fact, never official of course, but it's where Owain Glyndŵr held his parliament in 1404. Shoh stasiwn na nasiwn radio fanning, as yn shoh sé Claare na Gael wisgol sgeliamach, mer yn pin Robert Cydyn Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Did the other hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
To Claare na Gael master ima die Claare en radio fanning bis verklaasden we schachten lukt agul sgeliamach en gidgir shoh, jorish broe kraman agert herne degger radio fanning, as rai en me Claare en shen. De Claare na Gael more podcast, yes, vis we gedden nasty in de radio vanning, na truden reich de podcast jou, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audible, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, na Alexa. Now, Juan was no great scholar, but he had some knowledge of the Norse speech, which still was sometimes heard in the island, as well of his native Manx and the more scholastic Irish. And what was more remarkable, he was one of the very few who knew the curious characters called runes, and he could read the Norse inscriptions in them carved on many an ancient cross throughout the land. When therefore he took his knife, he cut the sacred name in runes. Juan then hid the stone within the keel and went upon his way. And often in his daily rounds he pondered on his work, and when he came again he took the stone and lay upon the bank and looked upon it. Then with his knife he wrote the name of the saint whose work and life he most admired, and with it that of the apostle of the Irish Celts, Malachy and Patrick. Again he thought that he should add another saintly name. Tikunoliam as Tamigi Mullamurchen, as esh tas yn fhleasgaich ons fin, as laishis liorish an aisle, as Tamiginchi de chadla chaus to mi freilara. Ach, log tamil tamidje rúd olium ach jan freilara. As treit a cunyan doltajum de vel mi freilara, tami ferni na lai de cún, ach douche des gian orm les sulien cho Gael. Ungceart, gceart Elliot, an rid chaiden tachert, as tami cwmwl Sabine Rochebora. Tre tami dusta tami cor cori fo hypnosis, ach a trai. Ghra de veli duna sulien de bailach, chanelle chitli Sabina. As te gin chaust in a chadle, smoe sent slent oil, a smoe jerk na vi rai. As chamailia me. As ta me goil al, ta me goil al, rosh de chuljurid, eer de smunion de veli orm gol rom. Tan gjolein sa gaman, blioes as bes, nun a smoe na het shoh, as chanaiden dun tarn vai. From the 6th to the 10th of November it'll be the Cwsh Manx Language Festival, and on Friday the 8th of November Scottish Gaelic singer Joy Dunlop will be in concert in the Peel Centenary Centre. Joy Dunlop, and on piano her brother Andrew Dunlop, and that was from their album Geese. And Chwegwle mi hauna mara. ligt thou bij ledden gceart ons de chuljurid. Son gae de vel us as mis cwjach en nagen cws de ridden quech, fuddy de ginu smunion negatoiach de vel mish van Helsing as Michiel. De vel ne immer de atjemen as choned dris trechel jouwer nerigen verjere chorre drach mensen. Fijn lui jay tashin troilt, de kinjach chitnes nedder en slegen. As golron stjach ons cheer tregich na smooth fai. Ons shen te enen moere gromach as paltje ostje vis tujem. As te gin de wel na djur chummeltre enjach gins kai. Ten wens Mina fos kadle. As geder au ager as orm, as de rem mi mielige, gedot mi doeste, eer son be. Rem mi goil toiach dat goil aal, der au alles wesoil of allery. Solit mortie, les baasje shen soeder volle. Wel, rem mi grei rumpeen, maar we say de wel in a kadle fijn lei, be a nis nach ginum kadle foot na he. Long before the days of Malachi, there was Adamnon of Icolumkill, the island of Iona. Adamnon was striven to bring the Celtic Church to conform with that of Rome, and his name was not unknown to Manxmen. The clan church in a neighbouring district was called after him, although the sound now has changed and they spoke of it as Kiaull. Thus it became that he added Adamnon's name, and this had brought his runes to the end of the line. Juan then took the stone and laid it upon the altar, where it had been seen by many, but he told no man what was written on it. So now, when Juan came to the keel, he once more took the stone, and for a long time lay and carved more words, with many a prayer. So still he lay and so quietly he worked, that a little lizard, which had been dozing in the sun, lay still and blinking once or twice, was satisfied that this being was a friend. On Saturday the 9th of November, the Peel Centenary Centre in fact presents another concert, this time with the Quebecois quintet Le Vent du Nord. As Le Vent du Nord, as I say, they're from Quebec, and this is from their album, which is called Vent Printemps.
Les anciens le savaient, et même ceux d'avant, comment ils les saignaient. Et ce chaque printemps, d'abord les entailler, en respectant le bois, pour que puisse s'écouler, sans causer de trépas.
Pour que puisse s'écouler, sans causer de trépas.
Siroter le pays, pour se coller à lui, en cabaner l'ennui, à l'eau de vie de l'arbre, en cabaner les nuits, dans l'eau de vie d'érable.
En cabaner les nuits, à l'eau de vie de l'arbre.
Quand le sang de la terre coulait suffisamment, on vidait les chaudières dans les tonneaux du temps. Sous les cuves de fer, on allumait l'érable, le condamnant à faire bouillir de ses semblables.
Le condamnant à faire bouillir de ses semblables.
Siroter le pays pour se coller à lui, en cabaner l'ennui, à l'eau de vie de l'arbre, en cabaner les nuits, dans l'eau de vie d'érable.
En cabaner les nuits, à l'eau de vie de l'arbre.
Et quand enfin s'étire la palette des jours, ce rythme des souvenirs, ce sucre des amours, évapore en hiver, en gardant l'essentiel, réduire les misères, se rapprochant du ciel.
Réduire les misères, se rapprochant du ciel.
Si siroter de pays pour se coller à lui, en cabane et l'ennui, à l'eau de vie de l'arbre, en cabane et les nuits, dans l'eau de vie d'érable,
en cabane et les nuits, à l'eau de vie de l'arbre.
Dans l'eau de vie de l'arbre, in the sap of the tree, Quebecois group Le Vent du Nord, singing about the joys of maple syrup, of course. Indeed, Juan was a friend of the lizard, for Juan loved all living things, and all dumb creatures turned to him as a friend. The morning mists had long since disappeared, and the hilltops stood out sharply against the sky. Light clouds floated in the south and west. The damp had been drawn up out of the ground. The Markham Geelum was at play, that's the hot air quivering in the sun, but Juan minded not. At last he rose, and the lizard slipped away to disappoint a kestrel hovering overhead. He carried the stone into the keel and set it on the altar against the wall, where it reached an inch or two above the little windowsill. Then he prayed for Macriston's soul, and for his widow, and for his only child. He prayed for his friend Macallo, and his son carried off to a foreign land. He prayed for the babe he'd christened, and for all members of his flock, and that he might to them be a faithful shepherd. Chawds ta sin gol a red garw, a fair she red gceart fi chian as lemasach vaughan, ren mi cwmwl shis mchion as ren mi cadla. Rish ren mi dwsta leis enjachtan lach as der au treing ol sha, as ren mi fedan a vens Mina fors na cadla as een green angel sa spare. Ach, beolju de jaru chin deet, van a slegen gromach gien de vein a soja soel, as was in fagest een bullach kronk genach, Jason a ver vel jit a chastjel as de Jonathan corcunta Jasel jor lega. Chalirach ren mi goil boga zaal, son nish, son mina sai, van gera ghra. Ren mi dusta ven Mina as rish ren mi corre corri for hypnosis ach a trai, ons verdeel der a ro anmach. Esh, rosh me denke dorges moer oren, son eerlogen laigreniet en a speren heilsig en grien ten gol een jaagta, as rish tamelt wolju ons colierges moer, ren mi goil maag na kabel. Nancy ons Lunning. Nancy was in London, and that was played by the trio Finn, who are in New York, in fact, where Shane Kerwin lives, and he's introduced Manx music into New York there. He plays the whistle there on that track, with Mia Theodoratis on harp and Heather Cole on fiddle. Stasiwn yr asiwn dy radio fan is, ond sio ta siw geisiach rys Claare na Gael. Fysgol yr chebl empyn, Robert gytyn corfol, Robert y corslach.
Have I heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
Eis, ren mi father heard. Connelt ons Claare BJ fast if mi able to get him. Eis, ta mi ffordd aisle. As fagus day, ta mi cor events Mina, douche nesh as na stat you see na vi riw, sai shees the sour ons na flesje genek. Bren mi eerlijke bi. Ach, gebaili I. Grij veggig na rauw agresori. Gena mi tjonori, as fissem verdeles jay. Ach, ta machine gi, as fame nish bij leges on ulju. Esh, leis lorm rosh na fuddy bayon, ren mi tarn kiarkel gemoer son een saurejek, me geert een wol van wens Mina na sai. As herrische kiarkel, ren mi tarn purt Jane Olan, as ren mi brische de min, der au ulju kodich de mai. Ve na sai, gin leiltis a cledden tray, go gin leiltis as fair maru. As renne chit de veen na spene, der een rauwe snjacht en a sklade, as gerauw vogel aastje. Ach tre remmi chit fair, renny krogerum. And this is what he wrote in Norse upon the stone below the names of Christ and of the saints. Of all the sheep is Juan, priest in Cornadale. He fastened the scray in the doorway and paid a farewell visit to Macristin's resting place. Then, taking up his bundle and his staff, he went down to the stream below. When he came to the spot where the water from Gceann Barúil flowed into the stream, a solitary heron rose up from his fishing. The heron lazily flapped his great grey wings, spread out his long legs, and headed further up the dale. He went down into the deep glen, following the stream to the bend below Ballaglass, then, climbing the steep hill, passed by Keelcronkenno to Ballajora, and down the winding track through the rich meadowland of the Jollo home to Machald Head. The friends and neighbours at the funeral feast had heard and told all they knew of the hero they'd lost. Now, a welcome return visitor to Unconnected this year was Cornish singer Richard Trwy'r. Here he sings about another singer, Richard Jose.
I am a man from mining stock, and my story I will tell. Just how I left my native land to cross the ocean swell. A boy me born in a foreign land when times at home were sad. I am the singer Richard Jose, and I'm far from my home. My father died leaving children 5 and a wife quite destitute. So the eldest son I was forced to roam, and the new world forced to choose. Upon a train to Plymouth town and a winter crossing wild, I am the singer Richard Jose, and I'm far from my home. As the seas grew high and the storms let fly us and cows from my land, mid the ice and rain they eased the pain of every child and man. The singing kid they called me till we reached the New York shore. I am the singer Richard Jose, and I'm far from my home. From New York to Nevada I crossed deserts cracked and dry. I sang in bars to miners and the old songs made them cry. the blacksmith shop, I was put upon the stage. I sang in San Francisco and I sang proud on Broadway. I toured the world and earned my fame. I found silver threads in gold. I am the singer Richard Joseph, and far from my home. I crossed the wave to Cornwall in 1895. A candle burnt in every home, a grown man had to cry. Singing in the chapel, this far from the Broadway stage. I am the singer Richard Joseph, and my heart lies here always.
And from the clay country round St Austell, that's Richard Trethewey, and confusingly telling us he's called Richard Jose, but nevertheless a singer. They also told of his father, and his father's father, and all his kith and kin. They told, too, of the wickedness of the foreigners, and the deal that was done, of how a galley had gone out to carry the news to Reginald, that's the Ragnvalder, who was dreaded by his foes and held to be the greatest Viking of his day, and how the foreigners were gathering now and shipping their plunder and getting ready to make sail. Then they left the lad with his mother, who went round to see the cattle folded, the sheep in the pens, and all things gathered in and guarded, for the danger was not over till the last of the raiders had left the island behind. The sun went down. The evening breeze came softly off the land, driving loose clouds before it, and curling and twisting in fantastic shapes, the grey mist creeping to the tops of the hills on either side of the narrow dale. Dod mi tigel der awen anam bach coria craobhaich kiaull gceart leis ghra a pian da enjachten. Rem mi ghra lug tamalt trefi jit de vein sciúna, nach GWENNO chit herish gus an aisle. Son van mi giri genu prowlus jay na var ynnoek. Renny giri de bailach, ach treti an oil kesmud, renny cor stapuri, as vina shadow mor fair va foal. Gren fair nach Claare, ren mi braiach. Renny crea kionek, as chitback renny sai shis an inidjek. Esh, as is she an orm les sulien lien mor fair douche by Sabine, gerenny greach hanodem, as renny tanachten torstach. Ren mi goil bogus on va fissem a sen na vodish junu, na vod fairer be jousen as va aila in rumbu. Ger fuddy de bech goud en chraobhaich na jai van anamek sautja. Erich ren na kabel go toiach der skriach, as jarne der een strappenok, der remmi chitdau, as remmi cunach had. Our visitors to Uncruniach a few years ago were the Friel sisters, born and brought up in Glasgow, but with a solid Donegal heritage. Here they play and sing the Irish song, Store a ghra.
Heart on a head, yeah, well, and it's a lot.
Two stars started at all the chuckatin one and two stars started at all the stars started chucka two stars started at all the chuckatin one and two.
The Fhuilt sisters, Anna, Sheila and Claare, and their version of the well-known Irish song Store a Ghra. Tre rennad gennachten ma lawen orru, rennad shutter ni de hingel lesh tatnias, mar de beche. Gamlesh nim lai shen risaliam, tre rennad gennachten ma lawen orru, rennad shutter ni de hingel lesh tatnias mar de beche, as rennad schlie ma lawen, as wat kuun rish tamelt. Immer die keerten voeten heer en mi chitdau. Derre te chitkas een oervuur tret en kledden duches as dead sinchleg, as daar keert ten chit dem de groenigheid. When the silver beams silvered the thatch of the little keel and sparkled in the dancing stream, it couldn't well be said which was land and which was mist, and which was the sky above. Cornadale was severed from the human world and given over to the night and the wind, to the fairies and the Bugan. And that's the end of that story by P M C Kermode, although he's asked to go on and write more about Dewan, the priest of Cornadale. Now, speaking of the island's folklore with fairies and the Bugan, Cultivanin would like to measure engagement in Hop to Nay. How many people go round your area? How many sing songs? Which songs are they? How many carry turnip lanterns? What are they given? Anything else you'd like to say about it? Are they dressed up and that sort of thing? So you can take part in this survey. You'd be very welcome indeed. Get in touch with Cultivanin and they'd be delighted to hear from you. We close Claare with music by Welsh band Estron with Welsh piper John Toes, his daughters Mickey on ukulele and Danny, another Welsh piper, with Holly Robinson on fiddle and harp player Jess Ward. Chris Pearson will be here with the best of chill-out music for your Sunday evening from 7 to 9, and then at 9 is Judith Lay with Sundown. Ach, Shene, and so until the next time then, this is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Old Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night, Eve. I'm a Chrieriw, as Orserlier, as my Yeri and shared you.